was somber mood at the Graceland Presbyterian Church, where the late legislature worshipped when his family and the president and his vice gathered in the company of a cross-section of Ghanaians to mark 1 week since his death. In a grieving mood, the preacher, Reverend Minister Dr. Bamfo Atiemu, called on the Christian community to emulate the life of the former MP.
For me, the greatest tribute was what is being circulated widely as his last posting on his Facebook page. When he said a certain woman visited him in the office, the woman did not feel well, look so well, he advised the woman to go to see the doctor. A few minutes, he followed up to the hospital only to be told that the woman had passed away. And then he wrote, "My brother, this life is leading us nowhere." But then he also quoted Psalm 90 verse 12, and which said, or which reads, "Teach me to number my days, that I may apply my heart to wisdom."
Wife of the deceased, Josephine Nana Agyarko, eulogized her late husband.
Papa de oye evangelist, oye obia no ya sorry penin. Onim Bible muye.
To us, he was an evangelist and a generous person. In fact, he was overly generous, but that was what God had in stock for him.
Na waye na djuma nti onyame emrepem onyame nankasa afa na de ko nti na brabo de eye Kristo ne etumu fache abrabo.
The family says final funeral rites would be announced in due course.
Let's speak to a Deputy Minister of Information, Pius Enam Hajide, and hopefully Mr. Neil Lante van der Poel, Member of Parliament for Ododo Diodio, will join us in the course of our conversation. Let's begin, sadly, with the passing of Mr. Emmanuel Chemating Agyarko, Member of Parliament for Ayawaso West Wuogon. And I remember a week ago today, on a Thursday, I think on a Thursday like this or on a Friday, you were spokesperson for the family when the President visited. How close were you?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning to you, Mama Rie, and to our cherished viewers. You are right, exactly a week ago today, on Thursday, His Excellency, the President, visited one of the homes of the former Member of Parliament for Ayawaso West Wuogon, a brother and a friend, a father figure in my life, and in fact, a political mentor. At a point in my life, I actually stayed with him, and so we had become very, very close. And most people in our party, in our government, know about this. So I was devastated when he was indisposed and taken ill. I was taken to the hospital at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and we kept close contact. And he kept monitoring. I got shifted to the Ministry of Information not too long ago, and he kept a keen eye on my job. And even from his hospital bed, he will still give you pointers as to how to proceed. And I mean, it's a sad loss, not only for the good people of the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency, not only for the Parliament of Ghana, because you see, if you know Emmanuel well, he's a bridge builder, and even in Parliament, in most cases, leadership will rely on him to generate consensus. I mean, he's a free spirit, and he has friends across the divide. And for him, we can even agree to disagree. And when that phase is passed, when we exit the floor of the house, we relate as human beings, we relate as Ghanaians. But when we get on the floor of the house, let's be critical of each other, let's discuss dispassionately, but that should not be misinterpreted or misconstrued to mean any kind of personal animosity and so on and so forth. And so he had a lot of friends on the other side. And I mean, he was a very sociable person. He had a vibrant social life. One of the MPs, you go out with him, and I have been out with him on several occasions to outdoorings of his constituents, weddings of his constituents, funerals of his constituents. And he's relating, he's on the ground, he's dancing with the people, he's eating with them, and it's a major loss. It's a major loss. He has 7 children, 2 who are quite elderly. He has 5 smaller ones who are actually quintuplets. I mean, and for me, that's actually what strikes me. 5 young children who are all, I think, in their grade school right now. We need to keep them in our prayers.
Do they know what is happening? Do they know what has happened?
Well, they do. I on the Wednesday that news broke, I was home with them. I left late, and very early in the morning I had come back. We had to bring in the principal of their school, Ghana International School, and a couple of counselors. And so, I mean, we had a family meeting. We took time to explain that Daddy was on his way to heaven, and the counselors were quite helpful. And surprisingly, they were the ones who were mourning encouraging their mom, because she couldn't handle it. I think it hit her the most. And it was the little ones who were trying to explain to their mother that Daddy was on the way to heaven, and they understood that at a point their daddy was in pain. Their daddy was in pain on the hospital bed, and knowing how their father related to people with pain, they asked, "So, Mommy, I mean, are you saying that, or is it the case that we should have allowed Daddy to have been enduring that kind of pain? Maybe it was even better that Daddy was on his way to heaven instead of having to go through the kind of pain that the doctors are telling us that Daddy was in." So I think that they are dealing with it fine. They have gone back to school. We all have kept trying to find out how they are relating in school. We are grateful to their school administration, to their colleagues in school. I mean, these are young people, and our fear was that some of their colleagues in school could have been making comments that would have been hitting hard at them, and so on and so forth. But the reports that we gather are that both the leadership and their colleagues in school have been very supportive, and so we are, God is providing, and we thank God for their lives.
No arrangements for the funeral yet, right?
Well, I'd leave that for the family to officially put out. I am aware that plans have been made, but I am also aware that the family has a program that they want to follow. I would allow that we follow that program. This is strictly family. Government is not doing anything, because I think the president said that he was open to any suggestions that the family would make. Yes, so consultations and discussions are proceeding. The late MP is a fantastic family person, there's no doubt about that. But respectfully, we also think that he transcends his family. Beyond everything, he's a member of parliament, and so he can be properly described as the property of the state, and it will not be out of place for the state to also be allowed to play a role in the funeral of the departed MP. But these are matters that will continue to be discussed between the family and government. And you can see that there is synergy. The president came to one of the homes of Honorable Agyarko at the West Hills, where Lydia Al-Hassan stays. The Vice President also came. Yesterday, both the Vice President and the President and an array of, again, the National Chairman also came to that residence. And so you would notice that everybody, I mean, it's everybody's loss. Look, the regional office of Greater Accra, of the party, the NPP party, our regional office, was gifted to the party by Agyarko. I mean, and he's a philanthropist, he's a politician, he's a father. I mean, he's a kind heart. And so, even if you see the outpour of tributes from the NDC, opposition NDC, it will illustrate to you. And I think that his politics is desirable, and we should all attempt to be like him. I'm very, very sad about the loss.
Well, may he continue to rest in peace. And we will definitely share, as and when there are plans of the final funeral rites, we will share with you, our viewers. But let's go. I think it will be appropriate to begin, because once you're coming from the ministry, to begin from your midweek deliberations with the media and the things that came out. Just a little reminder as the substantive minister spoke to the media.
The 10 identified sites where the landing beaches will be constructed are Teshi in the Greater Accra region, Axim in the Western region, Dix Cove in the Western region, Elmina in the Central region, Winneba in the Central region as well, Mumford in the Central region, Senyabreku in the Central region, Fetegoma also in the Central region, Muri in the Central region, Keta in the Volta region. The development of the fish landing sites and ports is aimed at ensuring safe launching and landing of particularly artisanal fishing and canoes. It's also aimed at creating and maintaining a hygienic environment for the processing and the handling of fish, preventing and minimizing post-harvest losses and adding value to the fish caught by artisanal fishermen. Ladies and gentlemen, the fisheries sector plays a major role in the Ghanaian economy. It contributes about 3% of our GDP, we are told, and also has significant indirect contributions to the economy. And these include employment opportunities for marine fishermen, boatyard workers, suppliers of auxiliary goods and services, and exporting of the fish products to earn foreign exchange for the country. One of the significant expectations we have when these fish landing sites are completed is that about 12% of our total national fish stock, which is currently exported, will go up. And the completion of this project is expected to increase export volumes and directly increase the foreign exchange earnings of the country. There is an 11th landing site or fishing harbor that is to be constructed, but that is not to be constructed under the commercial and financing agreements that are currently before Parliament. That is to be constructed with a grant from the Chinese government, and that is the Jamestown Fishing Port Complex project. We have secured a grant for that one. That one doesn't, of course, require parliamentary approval, so you won't find it in the list that is going to Parliament.
Okay, already we have an objection to that statement. We'll get that bit to you, but Pius is here, and I'll let you explain that. So these London sites you're talking about, they will need parliamentary approval. Okay, so what do we have on these sites, the grounds where Kojo mentions? What do we have there? We haven't started anything yet.
No, we haven't. Without a doubt, the fishing industry in this country needs a major push. Fishing is a major mainstay of the people along the coast, especially through the Volta region, to Greater Accra, through Central, to Western region, 4 regions. The potential is great, but it has been over the years greatly underutilized. It is the thinking of this government that if we want to take Ghana to where Ghana deserves to be, we must pay particular attention on agriculture. And agriculture is not just planting. It is true that planting occupies a large chunk of our agriculture industry in this country. But planting is not the only aspect of agriculture. We have started with the planting for food and jobs, which arguably has done very, very well. But because we want to expand and touch on all the other sectors of agriculture, the finance minister in his presentation to Parliament on the 2019 budget indicated that we are also going to start what we call the rearing for food and jobs. The other angle that we also want to focus on is the fishing industry. And we think that the landing sites are a critical addition to that sector. Today, fisherfolk go to sea, and what catch they get is at the mercy of the availability of ready buyers there and then. There are very limited storage facilities. In fact, the whole fishing industry is not coordinated, the chain is not coordinated in a manner that is productive and conducive to what fishing can do. I mean,
so this is the solution.
The solution. This is one of the critical interventions.
Okay.
As far as the solution.
So
is
how
concerned.
far are we in getting parliamentary approval?
Well, I should believe that soon. I mean, Parliament is in the process of passing appropriation. My understanding is that these monies that have been allocated are also part of the budget that
Okay.
was presented, and I think that it is very creative and very useful.
Okay.
For the information minister.
Let me just acknowledge the fact that Neelanti Van der Poy, Member of Parliament for Ododo-Diodio, former Minister of Local Government Rural Development, has Deputy Minister. Okay.
Minister for Street First.
Thank you for being here. So you disagreed with what Kojo said, that both needed approval, the siting of the harbours and the landing site. But first of all, I mean, your constituency would benefit from this.
Yeah.
This will be useful to Ododo-Diodio.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and let me say good morning to your viewers and to our cherished listeners. Let me take the opportunity to say that even entering this studio, my eyes are filled with tears because my very good friend and colleague, who I used to do this program with, should be sitting here with me. You know, it's almost been like a tradition and a convention that I prefer having with him than any other person, because of the maturity the two of us show when we're on the program. It stems from the fact that we've been friends for long and we don't allow the politics of the day to mar the beauty of our relationship. It's been difficult for me to fathom the fact that I will not be seeing somebody like that for the rest of my life. Possibly we will all appear before the Almighty on the day of judgment to see whether we still will continue our relationship after that. It's a pity. Yesterday, sitting there and looking at the 1 week celebration, It's not. My worry is the fact that somebody like him, who was so conscious of himself, somebody like him, you remember, anytime he comes here, he prescribes one medication or the other to all of us, and what we should be doing about our health should be the one to leave us. And it's one of the mysteries of God, and we give thanks and praise to Almighty God. We pray for God's own sustenance and shelter, happiness and joy to his family and also children. Let me take the opportunity saying that I wouldn't have loved to do politics this morning, but it's obvious that I need to clarify certain things. Because of my, let me say, privileged position of being closer to the late President Mills, I was privy to all this important developmental agenda, especially for our fishing folk. And let me say that in spite of the fact that I swore an oath, but I can say that I exerted some little bit of influence and pressure in making sure that this particular program of government was pushed. So
this was at the landing sites?
Yeah, landing sites and storage facilities for fishers. Because remember very well during the campaign, Professor Mills talked about the fact that the then Kufuor regime do not care about the fisher folk, and he was lambasted for it. So when we came to power, we need to show an example. And immediately, Professor Mills forced that under the CDB loan, the Chinese loan, the 3 billion loan, we took care of the landing beaches. Disc Golf, Second Takoradi, Elmina, Jamestown, Accra, Anyamam, and also Keta. Yes, so decisions were made and we followed up. And you remember under Professor Mills, we started the Elmina Beach Coastal Project, which was finished and commissioned under the NDC. And plans started. I sat in 5 meetings together with the late the Jamestown Manche.
What do we have to show for that?
And then Nelanti Mold, and then the GPHA designed plans and everything for the Jamestown landing beach, because I was from that area, so I knew what was happening at Jamestown. We marked the places. We went to the place. We did the land testing, and everything was done. And then we, you know, the problem we had with the Chinese loan. Subsequently,
we never got the money.
No, we got the first tranche, which led to the establishment of the gas plant. So the second tranche was in the offing, and I thank God that the second tranche has come at the time of the MPP. So they just continue.
So this is the same funding regime?
Yes, it's the same funding regime. The second tranche has come, and it was mentioned in the budget.
So
it's in the budget.
So this is a continuation. This is something that you started that we are completing.
Yes, and it's good. Governance is a continuous business. You take over from where somebody has left off, and you build upon it.
So, but you make reference to Atta Mills.
Yeah.
But there was Mahama.
Yes, so Mahama continued the negotiations. So Tekba continued negotiations. CDB, if you go back to the 2016 budget, you see it there. 2017, Ken Ofori-Atta in March mentioned it when he read the budget. He made it clear that the government is reviving the CDB facility and not talk about it, in spite of the fact that they vilified it. But he saw the wisdom in continuing with that process. And if you look under this budget, loans, donor funding, and grants are very prominent in the budget. And it all goes to make sure that we'll be able to achieve those things.
So do you feel that you've been credited? I mean, from the history that you've given to this project? Have you been duly recognized and credited in this press briefing, this latest presentation?
I don't really mind if somebody mentioned the name NDC or not, but the mere fact that the project which was started by the NDC is being continued by the MPP, wonderful.
Okay.
We started the railway project, they are continuing. The fish landing project, they are continuing. That is good for us.
Was Harbour part of your plans as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We didn't intend to talk about this longer than we have already, so just a few seconds to you, Pius, if you... Or you haven't landed?
No, I'm finished. Okay. That's what I want to say.
Just a quick one.
I'm happy the government is continuing with the project.
Well, for us at the Ministry of Information, government has a program to give the people of Ghana landing sites in those areas that have been described. and we know that we are working hard at it. We have gone to negotiate monies for these sites, and we think that it is our job as a ministry to let the people know,
communicate,
to let the people know that the promises that the NPP made prior to the 2016 election are being kept and will be kept, and that is what.
Well, not so fast. It's not like it's not like there's a project on the ground. There's nothing there yet.
Yes, but
you've only announced what your intentions.
Absolutely, and when something gets completed, we'll announce it.
Okay, let's talk about.
So the communication should have been right. As the government is continuing the project which was started by the NDC.
Well, we don't see it as such.
That's communication.
We don't see it as such. But
because
I don't want to
in
get
communication,
into the drag and
it is
pull.
what, when, where, and how. So
yes, but
it's been done well.
But honorable, our point is that we don't see it as such.
Let's talk about.
You can decide not to see, because even Terminal 3 you decide not to see. So
this is
I don't
a creation of His Excellency.
I don't mind.
Nana Dodanko.
Look, yesterday like this, I heard that they said asphalting. Asphalting was started under John Dramani Mahama. It's a project, ongoing project. It's been done as if it's a new creation. I wonder. I think
let's talk about what we tabled to discuss. Let's talk about the this decision by the Supreme Court and what it would mean. The Supreme Court dismissing the suits. Only voters in proposed regions will vote in the referendum. Which side did you disagree with the initial plan?
Well, let me say this. If you look at the NDC manifesto, NDC had intimated that they will be creating 5 regions out of the existing 10 regions. So the creation of regions has been...
Both parties.
Yes, agree. The NPP initially said 3, and NDC said 5. Today, I'm happy they've come to accept that.
But they are doing more than what you tabled.
They are doing 6. So they come to accept that our proposal was right, that we needed more than 3. And we thought that it's a good thing. But let me say this, and I want to reiterate what the late Kofi Annan said. The creation of regions in its nature is not a panacea to our development. What use will it be if we create regions and we are not able to help in the development? Because according to Kofi Annan, if you have the same food basket, having more children will rather make the children malnourished. So the most important thing is for us to see, how do we expand our revenue generation? How do we expand our sources of funding and revenue so that we'll be able to embark upon development in all the regions, not just a mere creation of mere regions. It's the same thing happening with the assemblies. Every time we are just creating this.
So how were you going to expand with the 5 regions? What were you going to do differently? You are still going to create the regions?
Yes, so I'm just saying the principle. I'm just breaking the principle, the fact that yes, we want to create regions. But I'm preempting that in creating regions, we must all have at the back of our mind that we need to back the creation of the regions with money. Because regions by nature don't get money, but districts make money. That's why we're a bit worried that if we're going to create regions, in especially the Volta region, the Western region, the Northern region, the Brong-Ahafo region, what you need to do is rather to make sure that you create more districts in these places so that they could get more money from the district assemblies.
Which one comes first?
I think that the creation of districts is very important to make them get more money. Because Volta region that you are creating a region, you are not creating a district there. So where is the money going to come from? Western region, you are not creating a district there. So where is the money going to come from? It's not like that. You don't get the money from the consolidated. The district gets money from the district assembly. It's a statutory fund. They get money from the district assembly's common fund. So when you create more districts, then those districts get more money.
So the regions by themselves don't get any central support?
Yes, not really. They get what they do, you use for coordination. Coordinating the districts under the RSCC, still under district assembly common fund. So what I'm saying here is that it's good that we are creating regions, but we make sure that the regions we are creating will be backed by the sort of funding and what we call fiscal decentralization to make sure that they stand on their feet. Let me say this. My legal opinion on this differs from what the Supreme Court judges have said. It
was unanimous.
Yes.
There's no ambiguity.
They are. But my interpretation of the constitutional provision definitely will be different from what they said. Because today, if you're talking about regions, we have 10 regions. You understand? So if the law says that, or the constitutional provision says that affected regions. Which regions are being affected? It's the existing regions which are being affected. But not the one you are creating, because the one you are creating by law is not created. So they are not in existence. So how do they get affected?
Okay, so that's your argument.
Yes, it's simple.
Okay.
It's basic.
Please learn for me.
Law and English. Because the key word there is those affected. As of today, who are those affected? That's basic interpretation.
Pius seem to disagree.
Well,
so I think that there's a gross misrepresentation of the law.
Oh, okay.
The law in the first place does not say that the commission would determine the affected regions. The wording is that the commission of inquiry shall determine voting will happen in the affected areas, so not regions. And so when you say the affected region,
take the constitution and look at it.
Please, I have paid particular attention to the wording, and I'm saying to you that it is not affected.
I am tracking where that is in the story, at least.
Areas. And so, because if you let it pass, it can mislead people, and by right, the Honorable can then interpret it that when you say an affected region, the Volta region as it is today is also affected, and OT region is also affected. So the wording is not the affected region, it's the affected areas and not the regions. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, the NPP actually, not that it matters, but we promised just one region when we were in opposition, the northern
not
Western
the three.
North,
it was
not
one.
three.
Okay.
Not that it matters. But you see, it is also quite curious that when the NDC was in power and the former president at the time promised to create 5 new regions and was going to push up the numbers to 15, they forgot to create districts, because they did not promise the creation of new districts, they promised the creation of new regions. Now all of a sudden, it is no longer the creation of a new region that matters. It is the creation of districts. But they promised the creation of regions, not districts.
But what he said
makes
a lot of... It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Why it cannot be taken seriously is that the two are not mutually exclusive. When you create new regions, you can still create new districts. And that is why they did not promise the creation of districts, but they promised the creation of regions, because districts continue to be created. The processes of creating a district is not as rigorous as the processes of creating a region. And that is why when you are creating a region, it is a big issue. Again, it is not factually correct that in the Volta region, districts are not being created. The Anglonga district was just created.
No. I think he made reference to the new region.
Yes.
And
Anglonga district. You don't know what it is.
I'm telling you that the Anglonga district was just created out of the Keta municipality.
Okay, but I thought we're talking about the OT region.
Yeah, but no, it's not. But you see that
you're making an example.
The Honorable didn't even know about the Anglonga district.
Oh, what are you saying?
Okay.
Anglonga has always been part of Keta.
No.
So what are you saying about
Anglonga, it was part of Keta as a municipality, but Anglonga district has just been carved out. It's new. The LI was just passed, laid in Parliament.
Oh, it's been laid?
Yes.
It's been laid, not passed. So what are you talking about?
So
you say it's been laid. It's not been passed. So what are you saying?
If you say that this,
what are you talking about? I'm the ranking member of local government committee.
But then you should have known this.
I'm saying, you say it's been laid, it's not been passed. When I sit here, I talk about what I've passed. I talk about what is in creation, what has been done. I don't talk about what is...
Well, but we are talking about the
I'm not talking about what is being presumed. That's why I'm saying that as of today, me, as far as I'm concerned, we don't have any region apart from the 10.
Oh, but everybody knows that.
Yes, so
but we are still talking about it.
We are talking about something that has not been done.
But we are still talking about it.
There's no law back in it.
Sure, that's cleared.
Yes.
So, for the fact, because I have heard this argument that, districts are being created in areas, but not, for instance, in the Volta region. And I needed to correct that.
But is it
that
true?
Districts are being created even in the Volta. Of course. Honorable, if you can just allow me to...
But are there plans to create districts in the new OT region?
I'm saying that those are matters that we will deal with when we proceed. I mean, when the Upper West was created at the time, new districts were created subsequently. When Upper West, Upper East was created, when Eastern region was carved out of Greater Accra, new districts were created subsequently. For me, our position is that, or was that, and continues to be that, anybody who has an issue with the processes that have been embarked upon, the president did not unilaterally on his own decide to cut Ghana into regions as though it was a butter and knife situation. There were petitions from people from those various areas.
We know the processes we followed, and we're here. But I think what was the hurdle that we needed to cross was this court decision.
Yes, and so I was going to go to that, but if you want us to fast track it,
is not on the creation of the region. The court decision is on the procedure.
Yeah, but that's
a big deal.
It's on the jurisdiction, invoking the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court.
That's a big deal to the processes. That's the vote, how they're going to vote.
And this is a judicial annihilation. I mean, it's a 7-0 straight, not a single dissent. And these are not my opinion. These are not opinions of law students or members of parliament or lawyers. These are opinions of judges.
It is not on the substantive issue.
Of course,
it's about procedure. What is the substantive
but of course, we know the weight of this.
The matter is what they are.
We know the weight of this. Yes.
And it. Look, as for the creation of regions, the constitution is clear that there will be a referendum, and that a certain percentage of the people should turn out to vote, and that a certain percentage should vote yes.
So do you know where we are going from here? Because obviously government was mindful because of this court case.
Where we are going from here is to allow the Electoral Commission to proceed with the 27th of December referendum in the affected areas, and hopefully the people in those affected areas who themselves have petitioned the president would come out to emphatically endorse these regions, and the yes votes will be passed. Over 80% of the people, the 50% who will turn out to vote, over 80% of them hopefully will vote yes, and then these regions will be created. And let us not be delusional about this and deceive ourselves. Creation of regions are an important vehicle that fosters development, be it infrastructure, be it whatever.
Is it in just the creation of the region?
I'm saying even just that.
How?
Even just that. Look,
how?
If you check our development history, go and look at where we are calling the Upper East today. Compare the state it is in now to the state it was when Upper East was merely under the then northern region.
But I'm not sure it came just
because.
It came.
You know why?
Because a region was created.
Importantly, it came. That is why when you go to Bolga, when you go to Upper East today, there's an argument, for instance, for a regional hospital. I'm not saying that if you don't have a region, you cannot put a hospital somewhere. But I'm saying that if you have a region, you have to ask for a regional hospital.
But a region with no funding is nothing.
What do you mean a region? What do you mean a region?
Your argument is the region.
When there is a region.
What is a region without funding? Maybe that's how I should have put the question.
When there is a region, there is funding. What do you mean a region without funding?
A region forces funding. Is that it?
It's not a question of fund. It is a question of more equitable distribution of limited resources.
Okay, so it's just the resources that we have already that we're going to stretch and share.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
So it's not like we're adding anything to
that is why the people,
to the baskets. Yes.
What basket? The revenue basket. Whether we create regions or not, we still all have to expand those baskets, because if you don't have money, if you don't have the money, we cannot spend it. Okay, but. For instance, and this is quite sensitive, and I
just wrap up quickly for me so we can move on to our last issue.
The people of OT have argued, for instance, in the OT area, that the NDC, when in power, when the Eastern Corridor Road was being discussed, they chose to build an airport in Ho. That airport has been lying there. I am not too sure even if a butterfly has landed at that airport. They chose, for the people in the OT area, it's a question of lack of proper priority. But that resource that was sunk into the Volta region was also supposed to have covered the people of the OT region. I'm telling to you that...
No, OT region doesn't exist.
But no, I'm saying that the OT region that we are discussing, that geographic space.
So that portion of the Volta region.
That's right. So that is why the people believe that. That's why the people believe that. If you give us a region, we are able to do some of this determination of our priorities ourselves. And we would have chosen that, we require the building of the Eastern Corridor over the airport that you put in Ho.
Okay, just a few seconds.
It's so scandalous for Pius to be sitting here to be talking about this. You talking about priority. You talking about priority. Is the priority of your government the National Cathedral when people don't have water to drink?
Well, but have we dealt with this?
No, I'm taking. You're talking about priority.
Are you just assuming without
the Eastern Corridor Road was started under John Dramani Mahama. In fact, portions of the road have been done. It was in lots. It's being done. You've taken over. Whatever is the agreement has been embarked upon. Loan agreement, everything is for you to do it. And you've come and you've cancelled it. You've cancelled some of them. You've stalled the negotiations. You've decided not to do it. And today you are turning around to say priority. That is the priority of the... We were very conscious of our priority.
So we did not start the airport. Was abandoned when you were talking, I was quiet. Maybe you forgot. You were quiet.
There is a Brazil funding for it. There's a Brazil funding for it. There is the one under CDB loan. If you were going to negotiate a CDB loan, did you think about the Eastern Corridor?
Yes.
Did you think about the Eastern Corridor? So what are you talking about? You didn't fund money. Somebody has come to fund the money. Your father who built the house for you to come and marry and come and sleep in it, you said the father should not be given the credit. You're talking about it.
Can we agree on one thing just before we
I just want you to understand.
For the people of the OT.
When he was talking, I was quiet. Please, can you allow me? Can you allow me to make my point?
Can we agree?
I'm saying that
both sides that
NDC government has found money. The NDC government has found money to do the Eastern Corridor Road.
What?
Please. Have you passed the Eastern? Have you used the whole of the Eastern Corridor? Have you seen the?
I come from that region.
But I visit that area more than you. I visit them more than you.
No, but Pius, some portions
of the road were done. We've even seen. So you can't sit here and lie. Some portions of it have been done.
I wanted us to agree on one thing.
It was in lots.
But that both sides, you've embarked on projects that some people have perceived as not being a priority, that you could have done something else.
Yes, so you don't sit here and say that NDC government did not prioritize. We prioritize. So the funding regime for the Eastern Corridor is different from the funding for the airport. So don't come here and sit here, because you sitting here today, you have thought that you have prioritized.
Can I just ask you, following that, who uses the airport, by the way?
Which airport? The minister mentioned it in his in his budget statement that the airport is going to be used to train aviation people and the rest.
But is that why you built it?
Please. If you have decided to turn it into another use, it's your business. The NDC, the idea behind the NDC is to facilitate the movement. Is to facilitate the original idea of the NDC was to facilitate the movement of goods and services between Accra and the Volta region.
Goods and services.
Yes, between persons,
not humans.
Persons, goods and services. Humans engage in services between Accra and the Volta region to make it more accessible for the people in the Volta region to come. You remember at the time when the Adomi Bridge was closed. People from that part of the country suffered to reach Accra, to embark upon their productive activities. So it was thought wise that we're good. Why are they talking about? It's not only the whole airport. We've also done WA. So that one too is not a priority.
So let's quickly,
Terminal 3 is not a priority.
5 minutes or so that we have to talk about this issue. Agyarko questioning some cryptocurrency directors over some 135 million Ghana cedis. Customers' cash. But let's merge that also with men's gold. I'll begin with you, Pius. What's the decision? I'm sure there was a petition presented to government, also to the Bank of Ghana. Has there been a decision?
Well, I think that this government has a lot of legacy challenges that we have to
men's gold is legacy.
It's exciting times.
You recall...
Please explain, because me, I don't understand.
You recall that we have had to find over 12 billion to fix challenges in the banking sector because we did not want a repetition, and this time on a national scale, of the DKMs and so on and so forth. And that has happened. I think that in times past, we have all been quite oblivious or derelict in duty, if you may, as far as watching our financial space has been concerned. And all manner of things were happening quietly. And unknown to most of us, we were sitting on a time bomb. Now, I think that we must give credit where it is due, that all of us are awakening ourselves to the realities that, hey, come on, these things are a danger and they have to be watched. But these things did not start today. It is to that extent that they become legacy. If they were nipped in the bud, if they were stopped at the very onset, we may not have been where we are.
Okay, now you're sounding like you're blaming.
I'm not.
You're blaming someone for...
You said I should explain the legacy.
Exactly, because
so I'm not blaming anybody. But I'm saying to you
as if you inherited this.
I'm saying to you that some... And it's not about political parties or governments necessarily. To some extent, it is about institutions. And so when we say these things, we the politicians, we should not hurry to take these things as though it is about MPP, NDC, or minister this or minister that. There are institutions that outlive governments, and it is their responsibility to watch some of these things. And I'm saying to you that the kind of work that the Bank of Ghana has been doing today, if the Bank of Ghana had been doing it before, maybe we would not have been where we are. In fact,
you know what is interesting? The only thing, because the institutions have not changed, the only things that have changed, perhaps, that would be the very person at the top.
Yes, but that's exactly the point.
But I kind of appreciate where you're coming from.
When you go to the Bank of Ghana now, new leadership is coming, things are being changed, and you notice now the Bank of Ghana has an internal mechanism to check itself before they did not have.
Please, can you answer my question?
So that's what I'm saying to you.
Can you answer my question? What's happening to you received the petition, the Gold customers.
Well, I think
they're asking for one thing: help them retrieve their monies.
Well, the petition was addressed to the Bank of Ghana and to His Excellency the President. I'm sure it will be.
You are the mouthpiece.
It will be considered. And communication will be put out. What I do know, and I know this from just some of the placards I've heard the demonstrators carry and so on and so forth. I want to urge all of us as Ghanaians that when we enter into some of these deals, and I'm happy that the SEC is, Agyarko is getting involved in this cryptocurrency. This is new to most of us. And so
but apparently not. There are people doing business in Ghana with this.
I said most of us.
Yes.
A lot of people in Ghana do not know this. And so, but that's why we have to find out in which areas these things are happening and take leadership. If we have to pass legislation and to regulate it, so must it be. But we cannot allow just anybody to be doing anything in the hope that when the chips go down, government will come in as last resort, and then we'll ask, government come in and help us, and so on.
Nilante, what should government do? Because all these people are turning to government. When you read the story about the crypto,
you know something?
There's a pressure group that have been formed, and all are asking government to assist.
You know, I'm happy my brother sitting here today is accepting the fact that the law of karma works, and when you throw a ball at a wall, it comes back to you.
How is that?
When they went on the political platforms and lied that DKM was owned by the former president and the wife.
Oh, was that categorical?
Yes, yes. I have. If I knew you were going to talk about this, I would have brought you videos of it.
Of whom? Of whom?
They said DKM is Dramani Kofi Mahama.
Of MPP.
Dramani Kofi Mahama. That's what they said.
Who is they?
MPP.
Mavi, what is this?
Please. I said we were on your political platform to talk about this. You use it for campaign. Today, I said, Mamavi, I went to Nkuranza with my former minister, Collins Dauda, for National Sanitation Day. We were chased out.
By the people.
Because
that does not mean
customers,
MPP.
listen, DKM customers who were accusing us, our government, of taking their money.
How does that tend to MPP? I'm
saying that they made campaign. They promised that when they come to power, they will pay them their monies. Today, the minister came to stand in front of Parliament and said they paid 80%. The DKM customers have come out to say it's a lie.
That's not true.
Please, the minister was in parliament, he said it.
Yes.
Was it not true?
Nobody said this.
You said the KM people have not issued a statement.
No,
the government have not issued.
No.
Please, unless maybe
no,
you are deputy minister for information. Be careful the things.
I've been involved
you are a deputy minister. I'm saying that do your scanning very well. Do your random listing of newspapers and the rest very well.
True.
2, what have they paid? It's only the liquidation of assets and the process for the liquidation which have been used to give out. They've not paid anything. The same process which was started by the NDC regime, paying the interest. With Men's Gold, I have heard the minister on CTFM say that government is not going to pay anything related to Men's Gold. Well, I think that the best thing government will do now is to make sure that immediately, if they have to liquidate assets, they have to do that, and then make sure that properties that are presumed to be owned by the company, so that people will take at least. If they won't get even the interest, they could take their deposits back. Because if this thing is not done, the mass suicide we are going to have in this country will be indescribable. I'm telling you.
There were lots of warnings, at least.
Yes.
The Bank
So
of
I'm
Ghana
saying
issuing warnings.
Yes. You see, and it's all boils down to the fact that, like he said, the institutions sometimes have a problem. You know, when the Bank of Ghana was issuing warnings, the people were saying that we don't come under the authority of the Bank of Ghana. We come under the Ghana Minerals Commission. We come under the Precious Minerals Marketing Corporate. All those things were involved. If those institutions have done their linkages very well and have been able to know that we all fighting for the interest of one person, this country, it will be much more prudent today than we're facing the problem we are facing today. But me, all said and done, the most important thing for me is the millions of Ghanaians who have put their money into it.
So this is government responsibility. It's the state's responsibility.
I think it's the state responsibility. I won't say government. It's the state responsibility. But the representative...
How is that the state's responsibility? When people know clearly that when somebody is promising you 27%, I mean, that is almost absurd.
You see, yes, I agree. But that's where I tend to agree with my younger brother, that state institutions should be proactive. You don't allow these things to fester to a cancerous level before we act. If when we're kids, Carers for Boys and Girls taught us a stitch in time saves 9. Prevention is better than cure.
So how come some of the institutions are able to be very active and proactive in some cases when there's a change in administration?
Because
we haven't seen this kind of vibrancy, at least with the Bank of Ghana and their responses. And we're not doing politics with this. Let's just be fair and be objective in this case. How come we see some of the institutions being more proactive when there's a change?
You see, what I say here is the fact that institutions are made up of people, and people will have different perspectives of things. The way I will act in a particular situation will be different from the way you will act. It's different from the way Pius will act. We are different people with different complexes. And so it is important that we look at those people. Let's pray that in this country we always will have people who will be more proactive, who will have the will, the good will, the political will, that strength, that thinking, that ability to stand on his feet and say, look, this I know is not right. And against what people will say, against the wish of people, this is what I will do. And go ahead and do it.
Pius, I'll give you the last say.
The honest answer to your question is that we must have the political will. If you go to the Bank of Ghana, less than 1% of the people who work in the Bank of Ghana have been changed over the last political cycle. But it just, for me, the critical thing is we must have the political will. If you have monitored the Minister of Finance, if you have monitored the President, they are always giving impetus. They are urging us on to do the right things. And so that is why...
So is so the Bank of Ghana, for instance, is the less than 1% that is making all these changes?
Yes.
So then, because we have people who are very qualified and we pay them a lot of money, what do they do?
That's what I'm saying to you, that what has been lacking in terms past has been the political will to fight.
Since when?
That's what I have been talking about. And you see, the question again suggests a certain politicization. It could have been 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It could have been 4 years ago under President John Dramani Mahama. I don't want to even get into those. But the point is that the people of Ghana can attest to the fact that currently, today, there is the will to go after all of these things that if we had not gone after them, look, now this cryptocurrency, we are talking about 4 million Ghana cedis for over some 50,000 customers.
But still,
if you give them one more month, if you give them one more month, they will become 8 million.
If we had been more proactive, if we had been more proactive about a year ago, men's gold wouldn't be where it is. Because we saw it. You see, one of the issues,
and that's one of the issues
I have with this men's gold thing is that even political actors, to the extent that they virtually created a lot of opportunity and access to this young man, with the president going to elect the president, doing things like that. And when you do that, you create the impression within the people that this guy is so powerful and so connected that it cannot be touched. You understand? I think that in spite of the president's demeanor in this,
what the president do exactly? I've been trying to listen to figure out what's the...
Look, there is no way the Minister of Finance will be taking this action or the Bank of Ghana will be taking this action without reference to His Excellency the President.
So that's the political will.
Yes, so I'm saying that whilst he is doing that, some political actors within the presidency are creating the different perspective and different perceptions. Because if you could take such a person and such a situation, you create opportunity for the person to have photo shoots with the president, to go to the president, have meetings with the president.
But that one everybody does.
No.
Shatawale has done.
Oh, please.
Mama V has had opportunity
Shatawale taking somebody's money.
To meet with
the president.
No, I'm saying Shatawale taking somebody's money.
Honorable Nilante Van Der Poy, the president is available to you.
But I'm not taking anybody's money. I'm not taking anybody's money.
The basis of that meeting was not
I just want you to understand one thing. No, it's the personality. And personas give impression. They send what I call perceptions to people. That if this guy has taken my money, and I'm asking for my money, he's not giving it to me. But this guy could have access to the president. The presumption is that this man is so powerful that I cannot even have my money.
Well, but with SEC,
I'm saying that these are the things.
Taking the actions that they've taken,
yes,
that would kill whatever perception
there
is.
But you see, how many of our population in this country sometimes have this, are able to decipher?
We have to continue
to educate
between
them. This and we have to continue to educate them. Like the way the deputy minister said about the no bed syndrome. We have to continue talking.
I want us to wrap up, but I
think that critically, I think that we should advise the people, the victims of the men's gold scandal, if there's any such thing, for want of a better expression, they can proceed to court. It's not only the state that can do the confiscation.
No,
they can take civil action.
I don't agree.
They can take civil action.
What would they get out of civil action?
Just before we go, Nilante Van Der Poy, are you part of JM's campaign? Are you part of the...
I'm a pivot.
Okay. But Parker, my colleague, is the last thing I want to talk about.
Yes.
He was assaulted.
Oh, but Parker, we're dealing with the situation.
How are you dealing with the situation?
The person who...
And I'm asking you this because today is James' birthday.
Yes, the person who assaulted Parker has been dealt with.
How?
And he's no more around the campaign.
So he's been identified.
Yes.
He's been identified.
Yes, the security.
So how was he dealt with?
The security. One, he's been suspended. And you know what steps have been taken by the office to make sure Parker is appropriately compensated and Parker is appropriately
But this is a crime, assaulting someone.
Yes.
And we know that the police were supposed to be coordinating with the campaign team to investigate.
As the police who assaulted the Joy FM reporter, have they been dealt with?
Nilante Van Der Poy, I'm asking a specific issue. I'm asking a specific issue of Parker Wilson.
A police officer assaulted a Metro TV cameraman.
Nilante Van Der Poy.
Right in
Fortunately for me, I am hosting you, so I get to ask you the questions.
Highway, on the issue of the Adenta Highway demonstration.
No, not Mr. Nilante Van Der Poy.
Yes.
So how are you coordinating with the police, with the criminal aspect of it?
I am very optimistic. The last time I talked to James Ajin in Wharton, the office is coordinating with the police very well on this issue, and the police are preparing. Whenever they are ready to take action, the person will be handed over to them for the police to take it. We will not condone that act. We will not support any assault on any journalist, whoever it is. It is not right. As I sit here.
Just finally, is the appropriate punishment the suspension? That's what the team.
As far as our side is concerned, But then the
so
rest.
he's on suspension for how long?
This is not.
He's on suspension for how long?
This is not. I will not be able to tell you, but what I know that he's on suspension indefinitely. I'm sure, because James did not give me a specific time, and once there's no time limit to it, I presume it's indefinite.
Thank you very much.
But I thought if you taking it, let me take the opportunity.
No, I don't have a lot of time. I wanted to ask about.
Let me take the opportunity to wish His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, ex-president of the Republic of Ghana, a happy 60th birthday. On a day like this, I pray for God's guidance, protection, God's mercies and favor upon your life and your family. May God continue to endow you with the wisdom you deserve in order to have the opportunity to be able to continue to serve the people of this country, Africa, and the world the way you've done.
I should give you an invoice. This is not just a birthday wish. Stay with us. We have more coming your way. Pius, thank you for being here.
Well,
Pius wouldn't wish him a happy birthday.
As information minister.